Greetings and welcome to Student Exposure, where we highlight student-produced projects created by participants in DCTV's training program. I'm your host, Obi Wanwe, and thank you for joining us. Today's episode of Student Exposure focuses on some of DC's outdoor activities. We'll explore several ways DC residents are enjoying the outdoors in our nation's capital. Today, we'll take a look at flying on the trapeze, a fitness trainer's quest to help motivate people to become physically fit, a sports league that gives back to their community, and horseback riding right here in the heart of the city. This is Student Exposure. Get up and get out.
From our studios in the historic Brooks Mansion, located in Northeast Washington, D.C. This is Student Exposure.
Thanks again for joining us for Student Exposure's Get Up and Get Out. It's time to get started with our first segment. What comes to mind when you think of the Navy Yard or Southeast DC? Probably not boardwalks, battleships, or baseball. Definitely not trampolines or trapeze training. Surprisingly, we found all those things when we visited the yards at the Southeast DC waterfront, home of the Trapeze School of New York.
Nestled among the scenic sites at the Navy Yard waterfront in Southeast, with a Navy battleship providing the backdrop, along with kayakers rowing their boats gently down the stream, and sparkling waters, all within view of Nat Stadium, sits a rather ordinary-looking white tent. Ordinary on the outside, but inside, some rather extraordinary things are happening. We sat down with circus instructor Caitlin Larson and President and CEO Brian McVicker, both of the Trapeze School of New York's DC campus, to explore the highlights of the Trapeze School.
So in our school, we teach a bunch of different circus arts. We teach flying trapeze, which is the big net where you're flying through the air. We teach aerial arts, which is the fabric or the tissues, the silks. We also have rope and lyra, and we have acrobalance, where you do partner things on the floor and balance on other people. We have trampoline. There are a lot of different circus arts, including juggling and other things that we don't have here, like high wire and things with animals. We don't have animals here. My students generally come here as a way to feel more empowered about their life or about their circumstances. And when they come to take a class here at Trapeze School, they get to pick their poison. They can do stuff high in the air, they can do stuff low on the ground, they can bounce, they can fly, they can swing. Their motivation comes from something outside that pulls them in, but once they're in here, nothing outside matters. Circus makes you think about nothing else. Circus is a lifestyle here. We have a great community. People come here to be a part of that community, as well as get a workout and get away from their lives.
Exactly how did this high-flying getaway get started? CEO Brian McVicker tells us how.
The history of the Trapeze School is that Jonathan Conant, back in 2001, decided that trapeze was going to be the machine that was going to bring people to a new breakthrough, especially in urban areas. And so he had a dream to put a flying trapeze school in Manhattan. And so he began that process in 2001, and in July of 2002 they opened in Manhattan, and it was the first flying trapeze school in Manhattan. And the history behind that and behind why he really wanted to bring that is he knew it would build a strong network of people that would be willing to support one another, and in that process of supporting one another, they would break through into greatness that they'd never seen before. Well, the slogan that you see on the outside of the tent is "Forget fear, worry about the addiction," and that was actually coined by a writer in New York City, our first year open in 2002. And she came in very fearful, not even knowing what she was going to try or do. And she came down from the flying trapeze about her fourth or fifth turn, and she said, "Forget the fear, worry about the addiction. This is amazing. I can't believe that I can do these things." The fear that limits you from doing certain things, you push through so quickly, and then you want that experience again and again. And we've developed that system of putting things together for you so that you can see some constant progress and you feel fantastic when you leave here. The biggest transformation that you would see in students going from the beginning of their class to the end of the class is, at the beginning, they have a certain amount of unknown about what they have preconceived notions of what they're capable of. And by the end of their class, we've pushed through many of those preconceived notions, so much so that they will do things that they didn't even believe that could be done in a 2-hour period. And here, when we take you into our care, you are our sole focus for that 2-hour period. Your safety is our #1 priority, and we work very hard to make sure that you maintain not only a successful class and a fun class, but one that's safe for you. If I had to sum up what the trapeze experience is in a short sentence, I might even say that it's not so much about the flying trapeze as it is about the network of support that helps you push through to the next level of whatever that is in your life. Trapeze is just the mechanism, it's the machine that helps you accomplish that. And when you look at it from the outside, it just looks like a fun activity to do. But when you try it and you begin to understand what it's doing for you and helping you to reach new levels and breakthroughs in your life, you keep coming back and doing it again and again.
What an interesting segment on how to incorporate different aspects of trapeze into your life. Who would have known? Here in the studio in DC is DCTV's student producer, Karen Curry. Welcome to Student Exposure, Karen.
Thank you so much.
So talk to us a little bit about the age range of the people that actually attend the Trapeze School of New York.
Well, sure. We found out at the Trapeze School that the age range of those who participate goes all the way from elementary school age children up to the most senior member so far, who was 80 years old. An 80-year-old gentleman wanted to celebrate his birthday by learning to fly on the trapeze, and from what I hear, he did as well as anybody else in the class.
And have you personally taken some of those classes?
No, I haven't, but I'm very interested now. I figure if someone 80 years old can do it, then what's my excuse? So I may.
So how did the Trapeze School of New York end up in Washington, D.C.?
Well, President and CEO Brian McVicker, who's here in D.C., actually started out with the group in New York. And they were interested in continuing to expand into urban settings. And so they first came to Baltimore. And they set up in Baltimore, and they were there for a while, but then expansions and development kind of began to push them out, and so forced them to look for a new space. So Baltimore's loss was our gain. They decided to come to D.C., first landing at the convention center area, there where the old convention center was gone. They set up there for a temporary spot. And then eventually, when the wave of new development at the Navy Yard came into place, they got on board with that and became a part of all the exciting things that are happening now at the Navy Yard.
Well, thank you so much for producing that segment. I'm sure our viewers actually will benefit from watching that. Not only do students at the Trapeze School of New York learn to physically soar through the air, they also learn to overcome fear and self-doubt as their confidence soars. Furthermore, they learn firsthand that timing is everything. For more information, visit the Trapeze School of New York, D.C. campus, Washington, D.C.